Hey guys, this is my second ever YouTube video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Last video got a lot more likes, subscribers, and everything than I expected, so I'm really appreciative for you guys. I hope you guys liked that video, and I hope you guys like this one even more. I think I'm getting better at this thing, so let me know what you guys think. As always, leave some constructive feedback. But today we went to the Monarch Casino in Blackhawk, Colorado, and played some 2-5, which is always a good time. I love that game. I went here with my friend Davis. Say hi, Davis.
What's up?
Yeah, me and him got in a really big hand, so you'll see what happened there. Kind of an upsetting one for me, but what can you do? But yeah, overall, I hope you guys enjoy these hands. I think they're pretty interesting, and enjoy.
So starting things off at a 1-3 session I played about 2 weeks ago, I looked down at the pocket kings, the cowboys, the K-holes. I'm feeling really good about this, obviously. Action starts with early position raising to 10, and I immediately bump it up to 40. The button player surprisingly calls, and the initial raiser calls, so we have a pot of 124. We're going to a flop of 6-3 queen, 2 clubs. Early position checks, and I make a standard 1/2 pot size bet of 60. The button calls, and then surprisingly, the early position player check raises to 160. This player has been splashing around, and I've seen him check raise with air earlier in the day, so I have a feeling he's either has a flush draw, he has ace queen, or absolutely nothing. Basically, I feel like I have the best hand here majority of the time. The button player feels very weak to me, and I have a feeling he's going to fold to any aggression. I decide to put max pressure on and jam for about 300-ish more.
All in.
The button snap folds, and the early position thinks, and ends up calling, giving us a pot of 1,044. The player announces his hand, and I just need to fade an ace or a club. The turn comes 10 of hearts, feeling really good. The river, 5 of clubs. That one hurt. He ends up making the nut flush draw on the river, so I end up losing this massive pot. In hindsight, I really hate my jam on the flop. I think my aggression would have been better used on the turn and potentially could have gotten him to fold.
So this is another hand from the 1-3 session that I had the kings with, and I just wanted to show how bad that session was. I get it all in here with 6-7 suited. I have about 91% equity. The only way I lose is to running cards. The turn is a 3, and the river is a queen, and I end up losing this with a counterfeited 2 pair. And this was about a $1,000 pot, so between those two hands you just saw, I'm down $1,000.
Now moving on to today's real session, I sit down at a 2-5 table that is just opening. I've played with some of these people before, and it's pretty obvious that this game is going to play tight, which is not my favorite way to play. There's hardly been any straddles throughout the night, and the average stack is 1.5K, and it just seems like some serious poker. Surprisingly, it only takes about 15 minutes before I play my first big hand. I pick up ace-king suited in middle position. There's one limper, and I make it 20. It folds around to the limper, who's a tight, older man, and he back raises, making it $85 total. This is an extremely strong play, mostly indicative of premium hands. Most of the time with ace-king, I will be 4-betting, but against this particular player and against this line, I felt that a call would be a much better route. I just call, giving us a pot of 177, going to a flop of ace of spades, 6 of hearts, 4 of spades. This is a huge flop for me. I have top with a backdoor nut flush draw, feeling great and even better when the villain bets $100 into me. I elect to just call, not wanting to blow him off of a big pocket pair. The pot is now 377, and the turn comes the 4 of hearts. Now I pick up the nut flush draw, and the villain leads into me again for 200 this time. And with only about 425 in my stack, I check my cards one last time and decide to jam.
All in.
The villain thinks and eventually slides his entire stack in the middle. The pot is now $1,227, and the turn comes the 5 of hearts, giving me the nut flush, and I scoop.
This guy at first acted like I needed the flush to win, but when I flipped over my cards, he went like, whoa, and then continued the story that I needed the flush. But I'm pretty sure I was ahead the whole way, and I think the flush was overkill, which, still feels great to bank the river, regardless of if I needed it. Always good. And I get this $1,227 pot shipped my way. So for this next one, I peel ace-10 offsuit, which is one of my favorite hands, and I raise it up to $20 and under the gun +1. I raised over 1 limp, and surprisingly, the cutoff, the button, both the blinds, and the limper all call. I thought this was going to be a tight table, but hey, what can you do? So with 5 people in and a pot of 100, I see a flop of ace-7-3 rainbow. Great flop for me, as I have top pair, but against this many people, I still need to tread carefully. It checks to me, and I end up betting 50, a standard C-bet, and this is mainly to thin the field and see where I'm at. Thankfully, only the cutoff makes the call, and everybody else folds. The pot is now $200, and the turn comes a 9. If I had the best hand on the flop, I likely still have it now. And going heads up is a lot easier than going 5 ways. So I bet $75, and the cutoff doesn't seem to like it. After a little bit of thinking, he ends up folding. I get a nice pot pushed my way, even though we went 5 ways to a flop.
Okay, so this one's a fun one. I start off by looking down at ace-5 offsuit. For some reason, I end up limping in middle position, which is not advised, by the way, and the button makes it 20. The big blind player calls and I call, so we're going 3 ways to a flop with a pot of $64. The flop comes 9-3-7. The big blind checks, I check, and so does the button. The turn comes a board pairing 9. It checks to me, and since it checked through on the flop, I sensed a lot of weakness from both players. And this board is going to hit my quote-unquote limp call range way more than the button's raising range. So I put a very small bet of 15. Only the button calls, and with a pot of $92, the river comes a 4. In my eyes, this is another brick, and it's going to hit my range way harder than the buttons. The only way I'm winning this hand is if I bluff, so I decided to bet out for $45 with just ace high. Button player folds, and it's always a good feeling to win a pot with a bluff. So here we go again. I pick up ace-5 offsuit again in early position, and I decide to limp again. You know, I usually try not to limp, but I wasn't giving the game my 100% attention, which is a very dangerous thing to do. Folds around to the button player who raises to 25, folds back to me, and I call. So with a pot of 57, the flop comes 9 of clubs, ace of diamonds, 3 of spades. Pretty good flop for me, but I'm either way ahead or way behind because he could easily have me outkicked. I started off with a check, and then the villain bets 30. This feels like a normal c-bet, so I think this is an easy call with top pair. Now the pot is 117, and the turn comes the 2 of clubs. I check again, and the villain bets out for 45. It really feels like he wants me to call, and he's taking me to value town. But with this sizing, and with this card giving me a gut shot straight draw, I decide on a call. In my head, I'm thinking 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and then going to the river with a pot of 207, my prayers come true. Bink, the river is the 4 of spades. This guy should never, ever have 5-6 in his range, or a 5 for that matter. With fears of checking through, I decide to take the lead and bet out for 100. There's pros and cons in taking this approach. I could have checked, he could have bet, and then I could have raised and potentially made more, but I really thought he would have been scared off by the 4-liner to a 5. He obviously was not excited about my bet, but after a while of deliberation, he calls. I show him the straight, and he looks a little pissed off, and he mucks. I'm happy to win a $407 pot that I started off by limping. So this hand is against one of my good friends and roommate, Davis, and this is his first time playing 2-5. I kind of peer pressured him into it. He's sitting on my direct left, and I look down at 2 beautiful ladies in the small blind. Action starts with under the gun raising to 20, folds around to Davis on the button, who makes it 80, and then I decide to cold 4-bet min-click it up to 160. Under the gun folds, and after a moment or two, Davis jams for $281 total. It's only $120 more dollars, but I know Davis is literally only doing this with pocket aces. I call anyways, and I'll let you guys watch this one play out.
What you got?
The king.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, of course.
I thought so, man. Let me suck out.
Dude, that'd be so cool of you.
Queen. Queen.
All right, good.
I end up losing $562 pot here, but I'm glad it at least went to one of my good friends. But unfortunately, he did end up busting out almost 10 hands later, so all the money I gave him, he gave back to the table, which kind of pissed me off. So it seems that ace-5 offsuit is the hand of the night because this is the 3rd time I peel it, and guess what I decide to do with it? I limp. The small blind makes it 25, which is the same player I beat with the last ace-5 hand. The middle position player calls, and I call in the cutoff. We're going 3 ways to a flop with 80 in the middle. The flop comes the 10 of spades, the ace of hearts, and the 6 of spades. Again, flopping top pair is an amazing feeling, but just like last time, I could be way behind if I'm outkicked. It checks the initial raiser in the small blind, and he bets 45. The middle position player folds, and I make a very easy call. The pot is now 170, and the turn is the 8 of diamonds. The small blind does not slow down. He bets 80. I'm not folding a pair here to this size, but also this player is a very capable player who could be doing this with a flush draw, a worse pair, or air, so I make the call, making the pot $330. The river isn't a great one for me. It's the 2 of spades, which completes the flush draw. He then slows down and checks, and I end up checking back, just trying to get to showdown. He shows a pair of 10s, and I show my hand, and I get another nice pot pushed my way with the same hand against the same guy. I probably could have gone for value here on the river, but I decided not to this time, which, you know, probably left out some value on the table, but whatever. Hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed those hands. I know it was fun for me to make, and I got to play with my friend Davis, who you guys got to see him absolutely destroy me and wreck me, and then proceed to give all the money to strangers, which kind of upset me, but it is what it is. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe. And again, I'm thankful for you guys giving me a bunch of feedback on the last video. It was all very positive, so I appreciate it. Hopefully I can make this video just as good. And yeah, I hope you guys subscribe and want more content. And here's my cat. just chilling in front of me. So yeah, I was in for 600, out for 1105, and that is a profit of $505. A good day playing 2-5 at the Monarch Casino. I will be back, and I'm going to upload another one next week, so there will not be as long as a wait as there was for this one. So